It's National Signing Day across the college landscape, and Locked On has you covered with the latest signings for your favorite. We're doing it one more time. Richie, I'm really good at this, I promise. 3, 2, 1. It's National Signing Day across the college landscape, and Locked On has you covered with the latest signings from your favorite college teams. I'm Jourdan Black, and we've got big news for Arizona State as Jaden Rashada has made his decision. Alongside recruiting expert John Garcia, we welcome in Richie Bradshaw of Locked On Sun Devils. Richie, you've had a busy day because this news is big. It's exciting. Take us through it. Tell us all the things about Jaden, about this decision, about the flip. Tell us all the things about what you've covered, about what everyone needs to know about Jaden Rashada and what this means for the Sun Devils.
Yeah, first of all, this is just absolutely massive news for Arizona State. It's borderline ground shattering for everything that we've come to know in such a short time with Kenny Dillingham. Jaden Rashada, a four-star, a very, very highly regarded four-star quarterback prospect, coming to Arizona State is a really big deal, especially for Kenny Dillingham, a first-time head coach. He's only 32 years old, and he's already pulling in big recruits. This is really good for the future. But looking at what Rashada means to Arizona State, his dad, Harlan, actually played for the university back in the 90s. So there's a little bit of a legacy aspect here. And from what I'm to understand is that was something that really really played a big part in what Rashada decided to do with his college career. And it came down to ASU and TCU, and ASU was the team that he decided he wanted to build his legacy with. And now it's going to be a really good competition at the quarterback position. And Rashada might have a leg up because that is definitely one of Dillingham's guys. And he's going to enter spring ball against a bunch of dudes. But man, it's hard to deny the talent that he has. And obviously, he's got a little bit of a reputation because of his dad.
John, can you give us some perspective on what this means for Rashada committing to Arizona State? Not only that fact, but what it means when he flipped from Florida.
Oh, it means a lot. This isn't something that had to go down on February 1st. This could have easily pushed well into the spring. We've seen elite recruits push their decisions back time and time again. Rashada's obviously got a unique circumstance, but other schools wanted to try to get him on campus. Colorado, Cal, maybe Washington. So the fact that after just 2 visits to ASU and TCU, he was done with the process, I think it said all you need to know about that belief and benefit of the doubt he's affording to Kenny Dillingham. And look, Dillingham and Rashada go way back. This was a big-time underclassmen recruit, even going back to the pandemic year of high school ball when Dillingham was at Florida State. That contact was established. Then he went to Oregon, and Oregon was a top 5 option for Rashada. Now he's at Arizona State, and he finally lands a Jaden Rashada. So I think it's a huge deal for both parties. There was an accelerated aspect of Rashada making the decision this time around. There was probably some fatigue. He's been through a heck of a lot from a recruiting and decision-making standpoint. So once that comfort was confirmed with that visit 2 weekends ago, I think this thing was done. We did not hear the buzz we thought we were going to hear from the TCU side of this deal, especially coming off of a national title appearance. And I think that has a lot to do with Harlan Bennett and obviously that relationship with Kenny Dillingham in particular. So usually it's not so one-to-one, one person attached to one school and one commitment. But in this case, it really does feel that way. This is about Kenny Dillingham being ambitious and bold, and he's landed, in this cycle alone, 2 of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the country, if you include Dante Moore, when he was still the OC at Oregon. So we don't know a lot about Kenny Dillingham going forward, but on the recruiting trail and from a talent acquisition standpoint, he's already recruiting among the best at the game's most important position.
You guys have both mentioned Coach Dillingham's impact and his relationship with players. Richie, you have a counter going of just how many days he's been there. Tell us about the impact he's made and how much it's impacted this recruiting class.
Yeah, so the count is officially at 66 days for anyone who isn't paying as much attention as the crazy psychotic Sun Devils fan that I am. But looking at what has happened in such a short amount of time is unbelievable. There was a point in time where Arizona State had 5 people who were committed to the 2023 class. They were outside of the top 100 in the entire nation under Herm Edwards. And then Dillingham comes in, and some of the recruits ended up leaving that were originally coming for Herm Edwards. Some of the guys stayed, like CJ Fight, the defensive lineman, but they end up just going absolutely bananas. and signing people not only from the 2023 freshman class, but the transfer portal as well was hit very hard with 25 guys coming in. Some of them some pretty big profile names like Drew Pine, the quarterback from Notre Dame. There's been a lot of competition that's been brought in, and you went from outside the top 100 all the way to number 36 overall, number 10 transfer class, number 46 composite rank. This is definitely a team that is being crafted in Dillingham's image very, very quickly. And that's something that is beyond encouraging to see right now.
So, John, nationally, is this a program on the rise, a program that we should all look out for?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, from a talent acquisition standpoint, this box is checked. I mean, I think outside of, Deion Sanders at Colorado in the same conference, you could argue that this is the most impressive instant impact job we've seen. And this is a first-time head coach on top of it. It's really sort of unprecedented to bring in, as we record this, 45 new players in a few, 66 days on the job, 2+ months on the job. It's really a big deal for Kenny Dillingham. So I think from a recruiting standpoint, yeah, that Arizona State offer, having the Sun Devils in your top group will now feel a little bit different. And even though Dillingham is an Arizona native, and this is very West Coast based with Jaden Rashada in particular, this has been beyond. They've gone into Texas. They got 3 guys from Louisiana in this class, including one of my favorite players in the country, Ashley Williams, who's maybe a Sunday guy when all is said and done. So this isn't just capitalizing on what this is expanding that Arizona State footprint. So I do think that combination is something with a young staff behind him that's going to be something to reckon with on the recruiting trail here going forward. And Jaden Rashada alone tells you that. I think Drew Pine's transfer tells you that. This was an entrenched starter at a huge blue blood program at Notre Dame who had a bunch of portal options, and his movement went very quickly from entering the portal to following Dillingham to Arizona State. I think that also says a lot about that long-term belief there in Arizona.
Richie, wrap us up with an overall grade for this class of 2023 for the Sun Devils.
It's really hard to not get incredibly excited with it. To me, I feel like this is a solid B, maybe a B+. You only have the 1 4-star with Jaden Rashada, but I mean, that's a really high 4-star kid that you're bringing in. There's a lot of movement for the team that they're bringing in right now. I think that this is just the beginning and a sign of things to come for Kenny Dillingham. I would not be surprised if in a few years down the road, if this trend continues, that we're talking about Arizona State as maybe a top 25 recruiting class every single year. Right now, based off of what he's accomplished in such a short amount of time, I think a B+ seems pretty reasonable, but I also might have some rose-colored glasses on, admittedly.